Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Annie Dormuth, who is Director of Provincial Affairs for British Columbia and Alberta with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Thanks for joining us today, Annie.
Of course, it was great to be on the show.
Let's talk a little bit about the state of affairs for small business sector in Alberta these days. How would you describe, I guess, the mood of small business owners in the province right now?
Well, definitely small businesses heading into the holiday season. We're definitely hoping for a bit of bump in sales. And of course, for this to be the pandemic to be hopefully in the rearview mirror. Now, unfortunately, that seems to be not the case with, of course, as you have probably seen, small businesses are still struggling and as well dealing with, of course, the new wave and the new rise in cases because of the Omicron variant is really putting a lot of small businesses in a difficult position as we head into the new year here.
So when you look at we're a couple of months away of approaching 2 years with this hanging over our heads. What is the latest number that CFIB has for the level of debt incurred by small businesses in the province due to COVID?
Well, the pre-pandemic estimate, and I'm sorry, not pre-pandemic, but of course pre-Omicron wave estimate placed the average COVID-19 related debt for Alberta small businesses around $330,000 per Alberta small business. That is nearly double the national average and definitely the highest in the entire country with regards to COVID-19 related debt. Of course, this was kind of before the newest wave here that has swept through the entire country. And the CFIB will be surveying our members in January here to get a better understanding of the impacts of the Omicron wave, as well as what further supports will be needed for small businesses to ensure their survival in 2022.
So what is the reason for that level of debt in Alberta compared to the rest of the country?
It could be accumulation of many different factors. One of them, of course, that Alberta was in a prolonged economic recession prior to the pandemic. And of course, the impacts of the pandemic, including nearly 2 waves, 2 years of different restrictions and closures on small businesses have put them in a more fragile position where they have accumulated more debt. That is only, of course, our guess right now as to why. It could be also related to the fact that perhaps these are larger businesses as well in the province. So there's not really a definitive answer as to why, but definitely quite concerning for Alberta entrepreneurs.
So with that massive level of debt, why haven't we seen a massive level of bankruptcies in this province yet?
Well, as throughout the entire pandemic, the CFIB has surveyed our members and continually asked the question of whether or not their business is actively considering closing bankruptcy or permanently closing because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Throughout the entire pandemic, Alberta has fluctuated between 18 and 21% on that, and still quite concerning. That is the highest in the country, as well as when you think about that, that equates to around 1 in 5 Alberta small businesses that are actively considering claiming bankruptcy or permanently closing because of the pandemic.
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen of late, I know this has been an issue that's been going on for quite some time, but it's kind of highlighted recently is labor issues for small businesses. Can you talk a little bit about that and what small businesses are facing when it comes to labor these days?
Well, definitely labor shortages for Alberta small businesses and small businesses in general were an issue before the pandemic. Of course, the pandemic has definitely worsened that with, of course, maybe some employees deciding to pursue other career paths and the kind of more particular in the hospitality and tourism industry, just the fluctuations of closures and restrictions have really put a strain on that industry. Now, of course, we are hearing that the Omicron wave is causing a lot of temporary closures for businesses across the entire really country right now, simply because they do not have staff to replace those that are isolating. Again, this is just one of the many different ways the pandemic has impacted small businesses.
Okay, and as you look into the near future, Annie, is there anything that the CFIB would like to see more of the government doing, whether it's a provincial government or whether it's the federal government? to
Well,
support?
with regards to the federal government, definitely fixing some of the COVID-19 relief programs, making new businesses able to apply for the new relief, as well as ensuring those that are in desperate need of additional support are able to access it. At the provincial government level, just seeing how things go right now, but it is also imperative that the Alberta government, if necessary, ensure that supports are quickly put in place for businesses if further restrictions are going to be coming. I'm thinking of maybe encouraging the Alberta government to start preparing for maybe another round of the SME relaunch grant as an example, again, if further restrictions are going to be coming, as well as we look into 2022, just ensuring almost a do no harm approach for businesses. Now, this is really applicable to all governments, municipally, provincially, and federally, to ensure that small businesses have the opportunity to economically recover. And chiefly among those, of course, is not imposing new or additional costs on business owners when 2020 still remains uncertain for many and economic recovery still remains in question.
All right, super. Thanks for joining us again today, Annie.
Of course, anytime, Mario.
All right, super. That was Annie Dormuth, who is Director of Provincial Affairs in Alberta and British Columbia for the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.